Dear Sangha,
c'est à la fois un grand
it's
bonheur, une
at the
grande
same
joie
time
d'être ici
immense
et
honor and a great joy to be
une
here,
grande source de stress.
and a massive source of stress.
Et si je suis assise ici, c'est parce que
And if
j'ai
I'm sitting here,
confiance
it's because
dans la pratique,
I have faith in the practice. I trust in our community,
dans chaque personne qui écoute ici
in
dans la salle
each
et
and every one of us who listen
chez vous,
here
à la maison,
in the big hall, but as well at home,
parce que je sais que vous n'avez aucune attente.
because I know that you have absolutely no expectations,
Et que vous allez pratiquer très bien
and
le
that
lâcher
you're
prise.
going to practice letting go in all beauty, in a beautiful way.
En écoutant ma grande sœur,
While I was listening to my older sister, Sister Chindik, who was talking about compassion and the Bodhisattva Avalokita, I just thought that the 3/4 of the Dharma talk was done, and I didn't really have anything to add.
À chaque fois que je donne un enseignement, les
Every
sœurs
time
me demandent
I
si
give
le
a
micro
teaching, the sisters ask me if I want the mic like this, like
à chaque fois, je réponds
and every time I say, no, I think I need
un ancrage.
I need to have an anchor. I need to have something to hold on to.
Le jour où vous me verrez avec
So
un micro,
the day you will see me
progresser.
with a mic, you know, like a mic on the mouth, you know that I will have improved quite a lot.
Tout ce que je vous raconte là, ça
Everything
reste,
I say here, it seems
des petites choses, des petits
small
détails, mais en
things,
fait,
small details, but
la
as a
vie est
matter of
faite
fact,
de petits détails.
life is made of small details.
Et il faut apprendre
And we have to learn
regarder ces petits détails.
to look at those small details and to take care of all these small details
Qui vont nous apprendre beaucoup
that
sur nous,
will teach us a lot about ourselves,
sur la relation qu'on a avec nous-mêmes, la relation
will
qu'on
teach
a
us
avec
about
les
the
autres,
relationship that we have with ourselves, with others,
le
and
vivant,
with everything that's alive,
notre terre-mère.
our Mother Earth, including our Mother Earth.
Grâce à l'énergie de pleine conscience,
Thanks to mindfulness energy,
chaque moment peut devenir
every moment
un
can
moment
become
d'éveil.
a moment of awakening,
Même si la souffrance est là.
even if suffering is present.
Et bien souvent,
And
c'est
more
grâce à la
often than not,
souffrance
it's because of suffering
qu'on arrive à toucher
that we can touch
quelque chose de
something,
profond,
something
de
deep,
vrai,
something true
qui nous transforme
that transforms us and that helps us
quelque chose dans notre vie.
to change something in our lives.
Hier,
Yesterday,
on
Brother
mentionné
Papu mentioned
le fait qu'on n'est pas là pour
that we are
éviter
not
la
here
souffrance,
to
fuir la
avoid
souffrance,
suffering
ne
and
plus
run
avoir
away
de
from
souffrance,
suffering and completely get rid of it,
mais apprendre
rid of suffering, but we
à
are here
gérer la
to learn
souffrance, à la
how to
reconnaître,
handle
à
suffering,
l'embrasser,
to recognize it, to
à
embrace
pleurer,
it, to cry,
comme certaines l'a
just
mentionné,
like Sister Chendik mentioned it before the chant,
s'autoriser à pleurer,
to
être
allow
vulnérable,
oneself to cry and to be vulnerable and like
prenant
here.
un verre,
And when I take
je voyais bien que
my
j'étais
water glass,
un
I
peu tremblante.
could see that my hands were shaking and just be, it's okay,
J'accepte.
I accept.
Dans notre tradition,
In our tradition,
où on essaye de générer
we
la
try to
conscience,
generate
la présence,
mindfulness and presence,
d'être attentif
to be aware of our body, our emotions,
à notre mental,
to our
trouver
mental,
un
to our
ancrage,
mind, to be able to find an anchor, to find
à
roots.
la fois un ancrage
At the same
et en même
time,
temps une ouverture,
an anchor, but
une
at the
ouverture
same time
du cœur
an opening of the heart
et une ouverture de l'esprit.
and an opening of the mind.
Et cette ouverture suppose un lâcher-prise.
This open-mindedness involves the letting go.
Abandonner les idées qu'on a.
Letting go of the preconceived ideas that we have.
Les idées qu'on a de nous-mêmes.
The ideas that we have about ourselves, about others.
De ce que devraient faire nos enfants,
That
de ce que devraient
what
faire nos parents,
our children should do, or our parents should do, or our grandparents should
de
do.
ce que devrait faire notre communauté.
What our community should do.
Et de pouvoir
And to
communiquer.
be able to communicate together.
De pouvoir
To be
générer
able
le silence
to
intérieur
generate
pour pouvoir écouter.
inside silence, to be able to listen.
Écouter ce qui se passe à l'intérieur de
Listen
nous.
what's happening inside of us.
Si on n'arrive pas à faire ça,
And if we can't do that,
on n'arrivera pas à écouter les
we
autres.
will never be able to listen to
C'est bien
others.
ce qui se passe en ce
And
moment.
that's actually what's happening
Pas
nowadays.
partout, heureusement.
Not everywhere, thank God.
Et c'est là où on peut jouer notre
And
rôle
this is where we can play a part
dans la non-violence,
in non-violence
dans la
and
non-discrimination,
non-discrimination.
de je suis dans le bon, dans la
I am
vérité,
right and I know the truth and you are wrong.
On est tous dans le même bateau.
We are all in the same boat.
L'expérience que nous avons
The experience that we
vécue pendant
all live through
un an au moins,
during
peut-être
at
2 ans,
least 1 to 2 years,
je vais dire grâce,
I'm
grâce
going
au
to say
Covid,
thanks to COVID,
nous a remis
it allowed us to go back to where we're supposed to be.
nous a fait reprendre conscience
It
de
allowed
notre
us
finitude,
to remember that we are
de notre mort,
not infinite,
de ce corps physique,
reminded us of our death and of our physical body that grows old, that goes sick, and that one day will transform itself into something else.
Cette conscience de l'impermanence
This awareness of impermanence,
nous aide
it helps us
à chérir chaque moment
to cherish,
aujourd'hui, là, maintenant.
to value every single moment, here and now.
Je regarde devant moi,
I look in front of
il n'y a
myself,
personne qui a besoin
in front of me, and
d'oxygène pour respirer.
no one needs oxygen to breathe.
On a encore une bonne santé,
We still have a good health.
relative,
It's relative,
suffisamment bonne
but
pour
it's
être là.
good enough to be
Toutes
able
les
to be here.
conditions de
All the
bonheur
conditions of happiness
qu'on a,
that we have now and here,
il faut les reconnaître,
we have to recognize them.
il faut en prendre
We have to
conscience
notice them. We have to be aware of them
les jours.
every day.
C'est pas que au village de Cogné,
It's
que
not
pendant
just
la
in one
retraite qu'on fait
village
ça.
or just during the retreat that we're going to do that.
Si vous voulez,
If you want,
évidemment dans l'esprit de
of
non-poursuite,
course,
mais quand même, si vous
in the
voulez
mind of
toucher les fruits,
non-pursuit, if you want to
goûter les
touch
fruits,
the fruits and taste the
c'est la
fruits
transformation de la vision.
of transformation,
C'est aimlessness.
it's every day,
Mettre en
the fruits of
place
aimlessness.
quelque chose dans votre vie quotidienne
You can create
un petit
something
peu,
in your daily life,
tous les jours.
and just a little bit, every day, do just a little bit,
Pour arroser
to water
les bonnes graines
the good seeds
dans votre conscience
in your store
et dans
consciousness
votre conscience
and
mentale.
in your mind consciousness, in what is happening,
Et de reconnaître
and to recognize
que ce que je
that
consomme,
what I am consuming, what I am ingesting,
les aliments,
the food, the edible foods,
les impressions sensorielles, ce que
the
j'écoute,
sense
ce que je vois,
impressions, what I listen, what I look at,
ce que je
what
sens,
I listen to, what I feel, what I smell,
ma profonde aspiration,
my deep
c'est
aspiration.
aussi une
It's
source
also
d'énergie
a place where I get my energy
qui va
from,
me faire dire
that is going to
ou agir
make me say or make
de
me
telle ou
do
telle manière.
in such a way.
Si je suis
If I am filled with fear,
de désespoir,
with despair,
d'où est-ce qu'elle vient cette peur?
where
ce
does
désespoir?
this fear and despair
Qui
come
a
from?
peur?
Who is afraid?
L'expérience du Covid a vraiment
The
été
COVID
assez,
experience was truly, it still is,
un laboratoire
it's still a lab,
expérimental,
an experimental lab, fascinating experimental lab.
et encore aujourd'hui,
Until this day,
en France, je sais pas
in
dans les
France,
autres pays,
I don't know in other countries,
la graine de peur
the seed of fear
est très arrosée.
has been extremely watered by media and continues to be watered by media. I see people who are nodding.
Alors, d'accord, on fait
So
ça,
yeah, we're nodding, and then we cut.
on coupe le lien
We
avec cette
cut
source,
the link with this
on tranche net,
feed. We just
on devient le
cut
guerrier
through.
de la guerrière.
We become a warrior,
Et parfois,
or
il faut
the
avoir du
female
courage
warrior.
pour faire
And
ça.
sometimes it takes courage to do that. Maybe in our close environment, in our neighborhood,
Milieu
in
professionnel,
our professional
peut-être on se sent isolé
place of work. Maybe we feel isolated
dans ce chemin
on this path, in this spiritual, inside spiritual path that allows us to realize a lot of things.
et c'est pour ça que la
And that's
communauté,
why the
la
community,
Sangha est là,
the Sangha, is here,
pour ne pas se sentir
in
isolé,
order not to feel isolated.
prendre refuge dans la Sangha,
Take refuge in the Sangha.
Tai nous disait
Tai
que le
was
Bouddha du
telling
futur,
us that the Buddha of the future, Maitreya, Maitri,
la bienveillance, l'amour,
benevolence,
le Bouddha du futur,
love,
le Bouddha de l'amour, sera une communauté.
loving kindness. The future Buddha will be a community, and we can see more and more the importance of gathering, of creating places where we can be together and we can listen to one another and do nothing together.
Dans plusieurs pays, il y a
In many
des
countries, there are
petites
small
des
islands,
zones bleues,
blue zones,
blue zones, où la
where
proportion de personnes qui ont plus de 90 ans, 100 ans,
the
est beaucoup plus supérieure que la normale.
maturity, like the amount of people who are 90 and 100 and above are bigger than ever anywhere else. So studies have been made,
Et souvent, ce sont
and often those are islands within islands, like in Sardinia, next to Italy, in Okinawa, and next to Japan.
il y en a 5.
There's 5 of them,
Et elles ont des points communs
and they have common traits:
d'être isolées,
to be isolated from the industrialized
de
world,
ne pas avoir
and
accès
to
à
not have access to
toute la nourriture
all the
industrielle,
industrialized food, processed food, so to have very, very simple food,
juste avec ce qu'ils cultivent.
just with what they can cultivate. They eat what they can cultivate.
Et ils n'ont pas de stress.
And they have no stress.
Ils n'ont pas le stress du
They
temps.
don't have the stress of time, like the time constraint.
On peut regarder dans notre vie
We can look in our lives.
comment est-ce qu'on peut créer
How can we create
des moments
moments
où
where
on se détend.
we're truly relaxing?
Peut-être dimanche,
Perhaps on Sunday,
le jour de mon travail,
when we don't work,
et de communiquer
and
avec
to
les personnes
communicate
avec qui on est.
with people that live with us,
Et de respecter ce besoin
and to respect
fondamental
this essential need
de ne
to
rien
be
faire.
able to rest and to do nothing.
De créer des nouvelles habitudes.
To create new habits, new life habits.
C'est ça le chemin.
This is the path,
De créer de nouvelles
to
habitudes
create new life habits
qui nous aident
that will
à
support
comprendre
us to
profondément
understand and help us
notre
understand
malaise
deeply our
civilisationnel.
civilization
No.
discomfort, civilizational discomfort. Can we say that?
Et de changer
And to
notre rapport
change
au monde.
the way we interact with the world.
La crise écologique, la crise de la biodiversité, toutes les
Climate
crises
crisis and the crisis of biodiversity and all the different crises that we can enumerate, and that actually are a reason why we are gathered here together.
un jeune philosophe
For
de
a
l'Amérique,
young philosopher that I quite like and I just discovered, and who's also he's a tracker.
il fixe les
So he's tracking wolves and bears,
la dimension philosophique.
and he brings the philosophical dimension and the entire relationship that there could be between us as human beings and our link towards what we call nature, which of course doesn't exist, which is a concept, it's just an idea.
Pour ce philosophe,
For this philosopher,
son point de vue,
all the crises that we're going through
sont des crises de la
are
sensibilité.
crises of sensibility, sensitivity,
Et ça nous parle beaucoup.
and it talks a lot to us, like it's very meaningful,
Puisque le cœur
because the heart of our practice in Plum Village is to come back to the body,
revenir au
to
sens,
come back to the meaning,
reconnaître les tensions qui sont
to
là.
recognize the different tensions that are here. Sometimes there are big tensions and big struggles, and sometimes it's extremely subtle. And to be able to be in contact with tensions that are,
Il y a quelque chose de magique.
to be in contact, like to be able to touch something very subtle, then you're getting in the intimacy, and just like a tracker that can see signs that the animal is here, and who sees the animal without actually seeing it. So we're touching micro tensions without really understanding, without really knowing, but we know it's there.
Et détendre. Lâcher.
And just let
Apporter
go
du bien-être,
and
de la tendresse,
relax, and to
de
bring
la douceur.
kindness and well-being and tenderness or
C'est ça dont le
gentleness.
monde a besoin.
This is what the world needs. To be gentle,
Tendresse,
to be kind,
d'amour.
to be loved. Tu peux fermer la porte un petit peu parce que
Comme d'habitude, j'ai
Just
beaucoup
as
travaillé, préparé.
usual,
et
I
je vous
worked a
regarde.
lot and I have prepared a lot, and I look at you and I forget about my notes.
On va écouter un son de
We're
cloche.
going to listen to One Sound of the Bell,
Respirez ensemble.
breathe together,
Et peut-être je vous invite
and maybe I invite you
à rentrer en vous-même.
to come back to yourself and to close your eyes and truly try to be able to take advantage of this time, of these few seconds, and to see, are there small tensions, maybe micro tensions? Can I welcome them? Can I embrace them? Can I surround them with gentleness and maybe maybe in English it could be softness, in French, and to bring well-being to this body, to this heart, to this mind.
C'est difficile.
It's hard to allow ourselves to take time facing the emergency of all the crises, climate crisis, social crisis, which are going straight ahead of us like a wall.
Rising.
A wall rising.
They're rising in front of us like a wall.
And we don't really know what to do, how to do, where to start. Taifa Prou yesterday mentioned something that our teacher said, which is in this little book that I really like, Love in Action. And even if we would send our weapons, all our weapons on the moon or somewhere else, it will not resolve the problem. Because the root, the source, is within those who create the weapons. So that means us, human beings. So it's very likely and logical that by taking care of ourselves, of our emotions, of our greed, ignorance, discrimination, our discrimination, by cultivating love, inclusiveness, equanimity, joy, peace, calm, that's where the solution is. I am not separate from everything else. During the chanting of Namo, I have seen many people crying.
Shed a tear. Shed a tear.
Because we allowed ourselves to be touched, to vibrate, to feel with the energy of compassion, with a chant. Taking care of our emotions is something that is very powerful. because it means that we don't need to flee somewhere, run away. We can stay in the present moment, even though it's uncomfortable, it's unpleasant, even though we feel it's like a washing machine. The energy of mindfulness enables us to anchor ourselves in our body, and this body is anchored into the earth. We have roots. And do we take refuge in the earth when we walk, when we're sitting there? Do we feel the earth, the stability? This morning we have had a guided meditation which offered us, which invited us to feel our own stability and the stability of Mother Earth, with all its contradictions, paradoxes. For the people who are online, after this retreat, you will have access to all the content of the online retreat. And one of the last workshops will be offered by 2 people from the Philippines who practice in our tradition and who probably will share at the same time about the beauty of the Mother Earth, all the beautiful biodiversity. It's magical, and at the same time of its massive typhoons and cyclones which damage everything. Both are part of Mother Earth. Joy, love, peace, understanding are in us, as well as violence, despair, sadness, discrimination. What do we want to feed, to nourish? And in the war zones, natural catastrophes, disasters, often it's the opportunity for us to touch solidarity, togetherness, and love. Just before the teaching, the talk, I have seen an action that really touched me. Even now, it's a detail. Big gratitude for the people who are translating. Gratitude to the people in the sound system, behind the camera. Without all these people, it would not be possible. And just before I entered the room, a friend who is helping us a lot had a tray full of cups, probably cups of water for our translators. And small things like that that can really concretely express our love, our gratitude. So it doesn't necessarily have to be big, grand actions, even though we need this. But to see in your daily life how your love is being expressed in a concrete way through small gestures towards yourself, towards others. I have talked about taking care of our emotions, to nourish the seed of joy, which for me is the foundation for the next decades. We've had a few mindfulness days, small mindfulness days in May, and it happened to me to say we will joyfully run into the wall. I was surprised by what I said, but if we go into the wall, why not doing it in joy and dancing rather than in despair? It could be a way. I can see that many familiar faces, so I think many people know this this drawing of our teaching, which is very simple but very efficient for us to understand our psychology, our mind, and how we function, how we work. And I'm just taking the time. I will talk about the 4 right efforts, which are part of our 5 powers. Sometimes we feel that we don't have agency, facing what's coming ahead of us, facing the situation. If we practice these efforts in our daily life, it's the same idea. We don't need to wait for strong emotion to do it. This we can apply every day, all the time. I choose where I want to go. Hell or heaven, I know them both equally well. I choose where I want to go. Mindfulness, concentration, allow us to decide the right action, the right speech, the right thought, the thought that is including everybody. Our teacher invited us not to take part in conflicts, for example, in discussions very heavy in terms of responsibilities in the global events like COP. We all have the seed of anger, of despair in us, and we all have the seed of joy, of love, of understanding. We can call it a seed or potential. How do we manage to activate these seeds in our everyday life, to touch them? And when we touch them, when we live them, then we share them. It goes together. The energy of mindfulness, which brings us back to the present moment in our bodies, to our emotions, touching life that is within us, and which allows us to go beyond the idea that we have of ourselves. I am like this, I will never change, or the ideas we have about others, concerning others. For many, it's close friends or close family, like parents. Oh, she's always like this, she'll never change, she always says that, she always behaves like that. Maybe it's true, but we are more than that. We are more than our emotions, than our minds. We're much more, because all the cosmos is within us.
Dans le moment présent,
In the present moment,
je peux toucher
I can
l'éternité.
touch eternity. I
À la
touch
fois la fragilité
at the same time the vulnerability and the force, the life force,
à chaque moment.
every moment.
Et c'est un entraînement
And this is a training,
un petit peu plus.
a little bit every day.
Pour les personnes qui sont
For
chez
the
nous,
people who are staying
je
here,
ne sais pas si on vous a proposé
I don't know
ça
if
avec
we've
certaines
offered you
personnes qui font la retraite en ligne.
as well online.
On a des petits
We
poèmes,
have a
des
few
petits
poems
gathas.
which we call gathas.
Quand on se brosse les dents,
When we brush
quand
our
on regarde
teeth, when
le
we
miroir, quand on
look into the mirror, when we turn on the light.
ouvre le robinet,
Pardon. When we open the
l'actions
tap,
de la vie quotidienne
all the daily actions can
nous faire toucher quelque chose
allow
de
us,
spirituel, de
can make
sacré,
us
de
touch
profond.
something sacred, spiritual, deep.
Mais si on est perdu dans
But
nos
if we
pensées,
are lost in our mind, if we are lost in our emotions, we don't have access to this.
l'énergie de pleine conscience,
The energy of mindfulness,
serait
which we could
schématiquement
hmm,
symboliser par un
which we could simply symbolize by a plus. It's just to communicate.
elle est là,
So it's here,
et quand on
sleeping, and when we activate it, it becomes present in our life.
parler évidemment pour la
The same for joy, peace, understanding, love.
il faut qu'on mette
But we need to be active in this
des
process.
personnes qui peut-être
Some people, maybe they are very lucky
qui sont joyeuses
and are joyful by nature and happy by nature.
mais si vous savez que c'est pas votre cas,
But if you know it's not your case, then
il faut mettre en place quelque chose dans
we need to take action in our life in order to
toucher
be able to touch this seed which is sleeping, which is present, but which is asking for an act of presence.
et ces graines
And these seeds,
positives
these positive seeds,
vont nous permettre
will allow us to take care
des émotions
of our
qui
emotions,
nous éloignent
which
du bien-être,
put us away from well-being, emotional well-being, physical well-being,
psychiques.
psychological well-being.
Quand la paix,
When peace and joy, love are there,
elle prend soin à la
they
fois de ce qui se passe
take care at the same time of what is going on
dans ce qui est
in
dans le profond,
our stored consciousness. It takes care, and at the same time it takes care of what is present.
donc c'est pas l'un
So it's
ou
not
l'autre.
one or the other.
Et en fait,
And in reality,
c'est quelque chose que
it's something that I discovered.
ça prend plusieurs vies.
It takes many lifetimes
Il n'y a pas de séparation
or many lives, and there is no separation between happiness and suffering.
si on se retrouve dans
And
une
if we
situation
find ourselves in a situation that is rather unpleasant, with touchy suffering, it could be an opportunity
de faire toucher
to,
des femmes positives. Et
for us to touch seeds of positivity, and it should be like that.
joyeusement
For us to joyfully walk together, dance together, celebrate life,
on cultive.
We cultivate the good seeds.
On essaie de
We try
d'empêcher, de prévenir, mais sans
to prevent, but
refouler,
without
sans
repressing.
permettre
We allow
aux larmes de couler,
tears to be
à la
shed,
tristesse d'être là.
sadness to be present.
On entend beaucoup parler de
We
l'écologie,
hear a lot about
beaucoup de
ecological
jeunes,
anxiety, and more young people from 18 to 30,
selon les statistiques,
depending on the statistics.
des
Well, the statistic, depending on the statistics, but most of them apparently are very depressed. So
puisque la
each of
conscience,
us has a big role to play because our individual consciousness has an impact
sur la conscience collective,
on the collective consciousness
et vice-versa.
and vice versa.
Être un guerrier, une
Being a
guerrière
warrior,
de la non-violence,
a peace warrior, a non-violent warrior,
de la paix,
of loving kindness, love, peace, understanding,
au
inclusiveness,
sein même, peut-être,
at the heart
du conflit.
of the conflicts, within the conflicts themselves. And sometimes that means just being there, listen.
Frère Fatou l'a mentionné,
Brother Fapu yesterday mentioned
capacité
developing that capacity
d'être
to be
tranquille, dans un
calm,
milieu calme,
like calm water,
comme dans un bateau
like in a boat which is about to,
Rock. It's going to be rocked.
that is rocking. And we're able to be anchored, to stay anchored, because we know that if everybody starts to move in all directions, the boat will really
et donc être
flip.
comme une cloche de pleine conscience,
So being like a mindfulness bell for the people who are surrounding us,
avec des moyens
with skillful means.
conscience,
See, if we come and say, so the mindfulness, blah blah blah, the deep listening is like this. We are not, comment je dis bisounours?
A Care Bear.
A care bear.
et donc ça demande
So
de réveiller notre côté
that means we need to activate our creative part of ourselves, artistic side of ourselves.
des moyens
Imagine skillful ways, skillful means with the appropriate vocabulary that will touch and move the people, which will, maybe they will have an understanding, like a light in their mind.
dans ce travail,
In this continuous work, continuous job
retour au moment présent,
of coming back to ourselves, to the present moment, which
souvent,
requires sometimes or often to adjust ourselves again, say, oh, I can see that I am in that dynamic,
de la peur,
in a dynamic of fear, of despair. How can I straight away or as soon as possible change it?
prendre soin
Take care of it.
de cette
Take care of this emotion, of this dynamic,
en générant une autre
by generating another type of dynamic.
et c'est un processus de
And this is a non-violent process.
pour le dire positivement,
I want to say it in a positive way,
bienveillance,
of loving kindness, love. And sometimes it can simply mean developing the capacity of smiling. Smiling to our anger, smiling to our frustration, our fear. The first time I arrived in Plum, it was this experience that really touched me. The smiles. Moving or touching this joy, even though suffering was there. Who had the same experience? So, in the metro or in the bus, in the supermarket, you can be the bodhisattva, which smiles. It will not change all the crises, but it's also here and now that we change the future. The present moment contains all three tenses, past, present and future. The present moment, when we transform, we heal and we understand here now. We take all our ancestors with us, all our history, our shared history of humanity, of life. And this transformation, this understanding, this healing, this love, they are transmitted this afternoon, tomorrow, in 10 years, in 100 years. We're living in a time that is very paradoxical, very beautiful. At the same time, things that are touching our fear, our deep fear of death. I lost my way.
My strain of thoughts.
My strain of thoughts. But it was good. So to accept myself just as I am. So non-violence, love, loving kindness, joy to live, joyfulness, gratitude. How do I nourish this in my everyday life? Do I make efforts? Do I take action, or am I waiting for it to come? What am I looking on TV, listening to the radio? What am I reading? What conversation am I feeding? How do I spend my free time? What is my relation to my phone, to my tablet, to my computer, and all these things? Am I able to detach myself? Am I able to let go? Our teacher reminded us all the time that impermanence is not only an idea. Probably everybody understands, intellectually speaking, that everything is changing. But he tells us that we act as if nothing was changing. So to really have this experience every day, coming back to this idea of impermanence, how can I touch, bring insights if I am not present to myself, to my emotions, to others, and if there is constant noise from the mind, or if I'm running around. In the letting go, there is no regret. But on the contrary, there's a joy, a profound joy. We find ourselves lighter, more joyful, and that we feel that finally we've cut something, and that we can touch a freedom. And this freedom, this letting go, our teacher invited us to touch it, to experiment it with every step. Do I manage to arrive in every step here and now, or I am lost in my thoughts, my projects, my regrets, my worries, my fears? The problem here with us is that the practice is very simple. So simple that we will go for a walk together if the sky allows us. I think it does. And I invite you during the walk, and also throughout this week, and also online at home, because of course this is a practice that we can bring home. Of course, all practices that we have here we can bring home, and to see how can I get rid, really, truly. There's a beautiful image I like to share. It's the drop of water on a leaf of a lotus flower, on a lotus leaf. It doesn't get attached, it's just flowing. It doesn't get stuck. Letting go. What? What's the point?
Yeah.
We spend hours arguing, being in conflicts. Although we know that everything is impermanent, we know that tomorrow maybe this person will not be there anymore, or she or he will be there, but she or he won't be able to talk anymore. Yes, it makes us touch a truth that is difficult, that is hard, that we may lose our beloved, but at the same time it brings us back to a reality that is concrete of our life. I choose where I want to go. Can I have a word of love, of joy, of forgiveness? If tomorrow I'm not there anymore, if this person is not there tomorrow, will I have regrets, or will I be at peace?
l'acceptation,
acceptance,
accueillir,
welcoming, embracing,
l'accueillir tel que je suis,
embracing myself
accueillir l'autre
as I
tel qu'il
am,
est,
embracing the other as they are,
sans essayer de les changer,
without trying to change them.
l'aimer tel qu'il est,
Love them as they are,
l'aimer tel que je suis,
loving myself
avec
as
toutes
I
les
am,
qualités,
with all the beautiful qualities and
The faults.
all the faults.
ne pas rejeter,
Not rejecting,
ne pas saisir,
not grasping,
être dans l'équanimité,
being in equanimity,
un des quatre esprits illimités.
one of the four immeasurable minds of love.
Et notre maître nous dit,
And our teacher
équanimité,
used to say equanimity or
non-discrimination,
non-discrimination,
ou encore inclusivité.
or inclusiveness.
Surtout pour
Especially for us, Westerners,
que les Lumières
since
sont arrivées au XVIIe
light has arrived in the 17th century.
on a
We've
vénéré notre mental et notre capacité d'abstraction et de raisonner.
Put on a pedestal.
We've put on a pedestal our capacity of analyzing and understanding on an intellectual level, and which brought us to where we are today. And this tendency to discriminate between me and you, between us and them, between us human beings and them, the animals there, forgetting that we are animals. Luckily, we are waking up. We are about to wake up. The collective awakening is happening. So now the big question is, how do we all get together to be a large number to act? That's the big question. Because it's for sure there is many places that like here where we have understood that we're not separate, that the earth is there, is within us. And when we do good to ourselves, we do good to the earth. And if we hurt Mother Earth, then we hurt ourselves. When the bamboos are swaying, or we're allowing ourselves to dance as well inside of us. Do we see what's happening? We're like, oh yeah, bamboo are dancing, bamboo are swaying. To let ourselves be moved, the emotions, to let the emotions go through us, or let it go through us. Being sensitive again. Let us live. Mindfulness, a little bit like Taifapu shared yesterday. I don't remember how he said it. I will say it a different way.
It's useless.
It's useless.
Mindfulness is useless.
But allows us to touch the energy of life, the vitality, and to take care of this life, and to look in our everyday life what is going into the flow of life, what is protecting life, and what is going against the stream of life, and to take decisions, to make choices, collective choices as well as individual choices, land choices, national decisions. And of course, the bigger the scales, the more difficult.
pays riches
rich countries,
ont quelque chose à dire aux pays pauvres.
do they really have something to say to the poor countries, not to do this, not to do that?
Ces énergies vertes,
Green energies, green development.
pour qu'une vraie croissance verte
For a true
puisse se passer,
green development to
il faut
happen,
barrer le mot croissance
we need to cross the word development
et retourner à la simplicité.
and come back to simplicity.
C'est quelques îlots.
It's a few islands that I mentioned at the beginning of the talk, the blue zones. These people of 90 years old, 100 years old, they are in very good health. This is the thing. They are in very good health, and they're happy, even though, compared to our way of living, our lifestyle, poverty is there. The social link, the social the family is present, is there. In Costa Rica, 4 generations are present together
Under the same roof.
in the same house. And I know in Vietnam it's also like this. And here, the old people, we put them in homes. Because our lifestyle, our system is a little bit crazy and is making us a little bit crazy. I would like to conclude this Dharma talk with a song that will invite you all to sing here in the big hall, but also at home. I've seen that Leah is coming closer. We've talked about nourishing joy, taking care of joy, of happiness, of love, of peace. I like music a lot. I like dancing as well. I will not dance. So I hope that you will be able to appreciate this moment together and touch love, touch joy, peace. And I will let Leah guide the chanting. Thank you, Leah.
Kusanga, I'm very happy to sing with you. And so I will do the call and you can do the response.
Yeah.
Je vais chanter avec vous. Et moi, je vais chanter en
So I will sing with you, I will sing first, and then we will do a call and
Il y a
response.
aussi par contre, c'est une chanson en anglais.
But it's an English
Et,
song,
on a des mots-clés,
and we
donc
have
la
keywords that we
des-
can accompany with
des gestes.
gestures.
C'est l'amour.
It's love,
Et on envoie à travers
and we will
les
send
montagnes
it over mountains
et de la mer
and over the sea
dans le ciel.
into the heaven,
Et ça revient
and
vers
it comes
moi
back
et vers nous.
to me and to us.
Et comme d'habitude,
And as usual,
au village de Premier,
in Plum
les
Village,
chants que nous
the
faisons,
songs that we
c'est
sing
aussi vraiment de
are also very meaningful, their practices.
vraiment de sentir,
So really to truly feel the love, truly feel the joy, and visualize the mountains, the oceans, etc.
I send my love over the mountain. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens. Et tous et toutes ensemble. It returns to me. I send my joy over the mountain. I send my joy over the sea. I send my joy into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my peace over the mountain. I send my peace over the sea. I send my peace into the heaven, and it returns to me. I send my healing over the mountain. I send my healing over the sea. I send my healing into the heaven, and it returns to me.